Hello everyone. Welcome to this event on Microsoft Bot Framework SDK version 4 prompts. So what are prompts? Prompts are nothing but the user inputs that you want to take from the user. So prompts are nothing but the questions the bot asks to the user who is interacting to collect some information in order to process that detail or store it in some storage. In understanding the prompts and implementing that with a very simple chatbot. This is one of the best blog posts that I have came across that will give you a better understanding of what is prompts in Microsoft Bot Framework SDK. Sorry, not this one. Yeah, this is the one. So to give you a short description, what is the prompt dialog? The prompt dialog is an easy way to get user input and validate the data. So there are various prompt dialog types that are available in Microsoft Bot Framework. They are text, number, date time, choice prompt, confirm, and attachment. For text, as the name suggests, you can ask for text input from the user and its return value is string. For number, you can ask a number input such as age, amount, and so on. The return value is a number. Date time, you can ask the input to enter a day. The return value is date time. The choice prompt, you can ask user to click on a button. So basically you send a list of options to the user and user will be able to choose one of them. That is a choice object. The return value is the choice object. Confirm prompt. In this case, you ask the user to confirm something. With this confirm prompt, there will be two buttons shown to the user, yes and no, and the return value is the Boolean. Attachment prompt, you can ask the user to upload an attachment such as their profile images or any Word document or Excel file. And the return value is a collection of connected objects. We use prompts mostly in the waterfall dialog. This is a basic diagram where we can understand how we can utilize the prompt and validate the data. So to start with, we ask the first question in the first step of the waterfall dialog. Then on the next step or before going to the next step, we validate the data. If the data is in correct format or if the validation is passed, we move to the next step, that is step 2. If validation is failed, we again show the first question, but with a different prompt message. If you do not specify a prompt message, the same text will be used that was asked while sending the first question. If the validation is passed, it will move to the next step and so on. So in the next step, again, it will check for validation. If it is passed, it will move to the third question or it will again show up the second question. So this goes on based on the number of steps you have. And yeah, that is all. This is a very simple diagram that is easy to understand what is prompts. And this implementation also gives us a sample use case to implement. Okay, so let's get started with the hands-on on this portion. To start with, what I'll do, first I need bot framework templates. While installing the bot framework templates, make sure you close your Visual Studio window so that these templates will get installed. All right, we are done installing our templates. Now we can utilize them to build projects. Launch your Visual Studio. Click on New Project. Under All Project Types, select AI Bots. We'll be making use of Core Bot template. Core Bot template utilizes the flight booking functionality and it implements the waterfall dialog steps and it has very basic prompts. So we'll be extending this further. All right, so our project is getting ready. First, first and foremost, let me show you the current implementation of this chatbot and how the conversation goes on. I have just started the application. Okay, so prompt chatbot is ready. I can go to bot framework emulator. So if you do not have bot framework emulator to test the bot locally, you can install it. So let me do that right now. So based on your operating system, you can install the bot framework emulator. You will see this pop-up where Windows Defender Firewall has blocked some feature. You can allow that access. And once you see this bot framework emulator, click on Open Bot. And this is the place where you need to provide your endpoint URL. Since our bot is currently running on local, you can copy that URL from here. Depending on your port number, make sure if the web page does not show a proper port number, you can check your application and see on what port your application is running on. So on the URL, you will find your port number. And this is the messaging endpoint where the bot will be interacting. So let's copy this, paste it in the bot URL. These fields will not be set for now because we are currently developing this chatbot on our local machine. We haven't deployed this yet. If at all you deploy it to the Azure, Microsoft App ID and app password are the required fields. And this direct line, they are the fields if you connect your chatbot to the direct line speech channel. Okay, let's connect them. So the current functionality of this cobot is a flight booking chatbot. And this is the welcome message that was shown. It's a standard bot framework welcome message. It's an adaptive card. And after that, it checks if the Lewis is configured. If it is configured, then whatever you ask, whatever you reply to the bot, those inputs will be sent to the Lewis. And if Lewis is not configured, then it just takes the normal input. That is all. So, as you all must be knowing that Lewis is now upgraded to CLU, that is Conversational Language Understanding. So this is the old sample, but it still works good. Okay, so let's start the conversation. Where would you like to travel to? Let's say Pune. Where are you traveling from? Mumbai. When would you like to travel? Let's say today. And please confirm, I have you traveling to Pune from Mumbai on today's date. Is this correct? Yes. And I have you booked to Pune from Mumbai on today. So this is just the basic implementation of this chatbot. And it comprises of very limited validations. And yes, it works really good. The first validation, it happens on this part. That is, when would you like to travel? For example, if I start the conversation again, in this case, if I just give some random input, which is not a date time, so here is the retry prompt message that is shown to me. I'm sorry, to make your booking, please enter a full travel date. So it is not able to recognize my input. So it is asking me again. So that means validation has failed. I need to provide my input again. So I can also give it in natural language or I can provide the exact date. So I can give like this as well. Yeah, even this works. And this is again another prompt. It's a confirm prompt which shows me two buttons, yes and no. And the return value is Boolean. So if I just click no, so it will not save any data. It will just restart from the beginning. Okay, this was all about the working of this current sample. Now we'll be modifying this sample based on our requirement and we'll be getting rid of most of the details that are not part of this sample. So first and foremost, we do not need cognitive models. Let's delete that. Next, we do not want. Okay, let's keep the booking dialog. We will keep it to reference our prompt sample. Let's get rid of booking, flight booking recognizer, since we are not using Lewis. And also, let me get rid of all the statements which referring to my deleted files. So here I will have an error. Let's delete this as well. Even in the main dialog, I'll have an exception. Let's delete this. Even this statement. Let's remove this argument. Also delete this line. We can completely remove this method. And also get rid of this statement. If Louis is configured, if Louis is not configured, okay, let's remove this. And also let's remove them as well. For now, let me just send the user to the next step without doing anything. Yep. So I'm just clearing out all the implementation that are part of the flight booking dialog. This next ascent, what it will do, it will just move to the next step without performing anything. And in the constructor, this is the place where we define our steps. We have 3 steps currently in this dialog: intro, act, and final step. In the final step, let's also remove them. Okay. This particular statement in the final step, this replace dialog async, what it will do, it will restart the dialog from the start. If we do not want to restart the dialog, you can also end the dialog. So if you end the dialog, the bot will wait for the user input, then only it will start from the beginning. Else, it will just stop the conversation right there. So this seems to be fine. Now, in order to work with all the prompts, let's first add few of the steps that we need. We'll be creating a user dialog, like collecting the user details. The first property that we need to collect from the user is the name. This step name can be anything, but it's good practice that we follow the naming convention. So what action you are performing, that comes at the start. And after that, step async. It's just a naming convention that you follow. And the same name is used for the respective methods. Here you see. So whatever step names you specify, create as many steps or methods. Okay. So next, let's say name, age. We will ask for age as well. Let's say, let me look at the list of prompts and then we can decide what questions we can ask to the user. So text, it's a name we are already collecting. For number, we can ask for age. For date time, let's do one thing. For date time, DOB. Let's ask for date of birth. Or let's ask for joining date. That will be much better. We do not want to collect personal information. For choice prompt, we can ask the user to choose an option that we provide, like a list of buttons. Let's see. We can ask, okay, favorite programming language. So let's say language. Okay, let's ask the simple language, like what language do you speak? That will be much better. Then we have the confirm prompt. So let's change this act to confirm. Confirm step. And finally, we have the attachment prompt. We can ask the user to upload their profile picture. Let's do that. And that we will be doing before the confirm step. Okay, we have our steps ready. Let's create the method out of them. For now, let's get rid of these two methods that we do not need because we have modified their names. So I can just hover over the error message and generate method. So I'm starting from last because so that I have the order in here. Okay, we have our methods ready and now it is in order. Name, age, joining date, language, profile photo, confirm step, and the final step. All right, so now let's ask the user the first question. So here we have step context.prompt async. So if you want to take user input, you need to use prompt async. And what is the name of the prompt that you are using? It's a text prompt. And what is the prompt message? What is your name? And that is all. We can also give the retry prompt. Retry prompt is useful when you're validating the data. And if the validation fails, then retry prompt will be sent. So if I just type retry prompt, currently we are not doing any validation for this name step. We'll be doing for the age and other fields. So I'm just giving you an idea what is the retry prompt looks like. So if the validation got failed, then I can just send, please enter your full name. Yeah, please enter your full name. That's the message I'm going to send. Yeah. So this is a very basic prompt statement. And so this is a wait. Since we are using asynchronous programming, the method definition must contain async and the return statement must contain await or any other statement where you are just getting some data from external service. Okay, so let's build the second step. In the second step, the second step have two jobs to perform. The first step, the first job is to store the data that was sent from the that was set for the first step. So if user has given some response to the first question, then we need to store that data here in the second step. So we can do, let's store this data in a temporary dictionary that has scope only limited to this current dialog. So we have this feature called as sepcontext.values. It's a dictionary whose scope is only valid in this current dialog. So we are working in main dialog. So the scope is in main dialog only. So if I just store this data, I can then make use of this property and access the values of the name anywhere in the step or anywhere in this dialog. So this is the statement that will get the name stored in this dictionary property. Always the response will be coming in this property, that is step context.result from previous step. Now the second job of second step is to ask the second question. The first step, we ask the first question. The second step, it performs two jobs. First, store the data. Second, ask the question. And here, we need to change this text prompt to number prompt because we are expecting the user to input a number. And what type of number is of type integer, right? So how old are you? And please enter your age. And so if I just say retry prompt as, or let's say you are too young. Let's suppose we want this chatbot to be only shown to the user, or we want this chatbot for the users who are only above 18 years. Then we can validate their age. We ask the age, validate the data, whether they are above 18 years. If it is not, then we send a retry prompt like you are too young. You must be 18 years old to use our services. This is just a simple read-frame prompt. And so whatever prompt you use, you need to define them in the constructor. Currently in the constructor, we have text prompt. So let's define that number prompt as well. Since we want to add validation, so let's give a prompt dialog name. Here, we need to specify a dialog ID for my age prompt. So let me say age prompt dialog. Okay. And this needs to be passed here. So my name of my number prompt is age prompt dialog ID. And what is the validation I need to perform? So this will be the method name. So validate age assign. Now I can create a method out of this. Okay. So this method is created. Let me copy this method and put it here before the age. All right. So once you add the validation, make sure you specify the dialog ID while sending the prompt. For example, we have changed this statement to our dialog ID. So I just need to replace that with age prompt dialog ID. And Yep, that is all. So here we send the prompt for age, and here we need to validate it. So let's do that. And this is the perfect method that IntelliSense has generated for me. So when user enters any input or number, it will first check, it will first store that number to a local variable. We are just storing that to a local variable, and the response of the user will be getting in this property, that is prompt context dot recognize dot value. And here we are just checking if age is less than 18. We are sending a message. We can also send the message from this validation method. If you do not want to do that, you can also send a retry prompt, so that since we are already using the retry prompt, sorry, not there, here. Since we are already using the retry prompt, we need not send the message again. So I'll just get rid of this statement and just send false. And if age is greater than 18, then it will send me true. And here also, I did not send any validation message because we are already sending the retry prompt message. Okay, so this method is fine. So before going ahead, let's test this out. I'll just start the chatbot. Restart the conversation. The first question is, what is your name? How old are you? In this case, let's test two scenarios. First is the text input, and second is the number input. So here you see, we did not send this message for the text input because user has not entered age. He has just entered some random input. So we need to check if the user value is a number or not. So here let's say check whether age is a number. For that, we need to use regex. And there it is. Regex dot isMatch age dot toString. Okay, so let's send a statement to the user. Please enter a valid age. Age cannot be a text value. Please enter a number. Okay. And what was our retry prompt? You are too young. You must be 18 years. Yeah. Now, the problem here comes that I'm sending this statement and I'm also sending this statement. So when you are in such a situation, you do not use retry prompts, because if you want to send a specific message to the user like this, then just don't use the retry prompt, because that message will be specifying in the validation method. So let's get rid of this retry prompt and add it here. Okay. So this seems to be fine. Now let's test this out if it works. Before testing this out, we also want to send the same response here. Okay, let's see. So if I enter some random input, okay, so it's not working. So if I just enter some number, yeah, it is working. The bot is throwing an error because we haven't implemented the next step. So this rejects is not working. So rejects dot is match. Okay, let's comment this rejects piece for now, and then we will come back to later because we do not have much time. So this is the basic validation that we will be performing. Okay, now coming to the next step. The first task of the next step is collecting the information from the previous step and sending a new question. And there we have. Now, when did you join the company? So that is our next question. And this is of type date time. Date time prompt. Okay. We already have a class file that deals with the date type prompt. So it was already part of our flight booking dialog when you were giving the date of your travel journey. So here is that date resolver dialog, and this already performed this action. So here it will just ask in this initial step this prompt async. So this one is already doing that job. So what we are going to do, we are going to call this particular dialog and just change this text. So when did you join this company? So that is my prompt message. Or to provide you with our services, please enter full date in full date. Yeah, let's send this. Okay, and how we can call this particular dialog from our main dialog? What we can do, just return await step context dot begin dialog, and the name of our dialog that we want to call is date resolver dialog. Okay, so whatever child dialogues that you call from your parent dialog, you need to initialize them in the constructor. So add dialog, new date resolver dialog. Okay. So this seems to be fine. Okay, so it will send me some value and I need to store that value. So let's see how booking dialog stores that value. So in booking dialog, this is the place where this is the exact same statement that we have written, but instead of that, we are just sending null there because we do not want to check. Okay, we need to modify something in the date resolver. Since we are not passing any object of Since we are not passing any property, we can just pass it. For example, in the booking details, travel date is a string. So we can pass a string property. Let's see. Let's initialize that property. Or maybe let's create an object that will be much better. And let me rename this, not rename, let me create a new one. I'll name this as user details. So the first one is name, age, joining date, language, profile photo. Yeah, so these are the main ones that we are asking to the user. And let's create an object of user details and pass it across to the joining date. So here, new, not there, var, user details. And here we'll be just passing that specific property, that is user details dot joining date. What we are sending it, if this property contains a value, then the date resolver dialog will not ask the same question again because joining date is already there. If joining date does not have any value, it will ask the question, it will reply back with the joining date. Basically, this property will be filled with a value and sent it across. And how to capture that? Same way how it is done in the booking dialog. This is a statement. So booking details or travel date, let's do that. Because always your response will come in the step context dot result. So currently I'm saving them everything in the dictionary. And let's ask the language. And this time we want to use choice prompt. Okay. And here we have, that is all. Okay. So here we are sending the list of choices to choose from. And this is my list. I can make this list as dynamic by getting the value from some external services. And here is my prompt message. If at all user does not select from my preferred list item, then I can also send the retry prompt. Yeah. So that is for the language step and a choice prompt. Now let's store that value here. So we can make this as step context.language. And how to extract the list item is using this found choice. We need to typecast our step context.result with a found choice, and its value will be coming in the dot value property. Okay, now let's ask the final question, that is attachment. So we are asking the user to upload an attachment. We do have an option here to upload an attachment. And that attachment, I'll just ask the user to confirm by sending an image. Let's do that. And here first we need to capture the attachment response. Okay. So this will get me that attachment details. So whenever an attachment is uploaded, it generates an URL. And using that URL, we can retrieve the image content or the file content. And that file content, we can send it across to any third-party services or external services. And when that data is converted back to file, it gets stored to some location. So here, let's try that. Let's say get the attachment data. Or let's download the attachment. That will be much better. Let's download the attachment to our local location. Okay. So this is the perfect code that it is writing. We need a client, web client, and we need to download the file. Okay. So this is the one, how it is doing. We can replace this. Okay, let's use that only. And it is going to store that attachment here at this location. Let's import the web client. Okay. And the final step, we are just combining all the details. I have your name as name and your age as age. Just confirm these two. You can also confirm the other properties as well. And finally, send a confirm prompt. Okay. And here we can check for that final response. If Boolean, since my response will be in Boolean, and there we have. So if the response is true, that means if user has clicked on yes, that I want to confirm my details, then it will come here in the if condition. It will store all the data and it will just end the dialog. So we need to end the dialog or send us some response before ending it. Thank you for registering with us. You can now use our services. Okay, and that is all. And here, let's send something. Thank you for your time. You can always register with us later. So this is the message that we are sending. And for both the condition, let's do one thing. Let's restart the dialog if user has clicked no. So let's copy this and paste it here. And for the yes part, let's end the dialog. Okay. And yep, this is all from here. Let's remove this statement and let's test this out. Yeah, it will not work. It will throw an exception. The reason being the prompts that we are using in this dialog class needs to be specified in the constructor. So number prompt, we are using the choice prompt. We are using the attachment prompt as well. We are using the confirm prompt, and we are using the attachment prompt. Okay, so these are all the prompts that we are using here, and we have only given the validation for the number prompt. That is why you see some syntax change. Okay, now let's restart it. So let's see. JD, how old are you? 23. Let's give some wrong input. Let's give some valid input. When did you join this company? Let's say yesterday. Please select your preferred language, English. Please upload your profile photo. Let me get some random photo. File picture. Let's use, maybe this seems to be fine. Not sure who is this guy, but let's copy him. And let's store it in downloads. Now I can upload him as my profile photo. I'll go to downloads, select that image, and bot encountered an error. Let's see what is the issue. So we came here. We are in the profile photo step. Let's put a breakpoint here. No, not there. In the confirm step. Let's debug it. Okay, the format is not in JPEG or PNG. I think that can be the reason. Could not find a part of the path. Okay, okay. Okay, let's see. We need to specify a correct path. Let me go to that location. Users, public, public pictures. I think, yeah, let's put it here and replace this path with a new one. And I've seen that the profile photo was not in the correct format. Let me pick some other guy. Yeah, this seems to be fine. A PNG file. We can do this validation later, like checking for the extension. So let's store that as PNG. Let's restart the conversation. Okay, and there we upload it. And please confirm I have your name as JD and your age as 23. Yes. Thank you for registering with us. And now let's see whether this has saved there. And there it is. See here in the public pictures, we have that photo. So yeah, we are already up the time, and thanks everyone. We can close the session and we'll come back with a new topic next week. Okay, thanks everyone.